Promotional consideration paid for by the following. The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com. Marion Blue Racers football. Feel the heat, feel the excitement, the best fan experience going in Marion today. Perkins Family Restaurant and Bakery, located at 1197 Mount Vernon Avenue, right here in Marion. Open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hey, stop into Perkins and take a look at the newly remodeled dining room. Perfect for that family get-together or that intimate get-together with friends. And hey, while you're there, check out the delicious items in the bakery. Perfect for all those Thanksgiving needs, as well as any pie, cookie, or muffin add-on to any meal. Also, check out the Get Crackin' and Biscuit Bake menus. Perkins Family Restaurant and Bakery, a family tradition in Marion for well over 30 years. From our family to yours. Hey, stop on by. Ruby Spoon Frozen Yogurt and More, where you can customize your own indulgent dessert. Choose from 14 flavors, including cookies and cream, our seasonal pumpkin cheesecake, classic white vanilla, or our creamy and rich chocolate. Check out our newest offering, fresh baked toppings. Every day we are in the back making mini cookies, mini Buckeyes, and crispy waffle cones. Come in from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and enjoy our yogurt at a discounted price of just 39 cents an ounce. Check out our Facebook page for our daily discounts for everyone, from seniors to moms. Try our fresh-made crepes and waffles, or make your own delicious and customized yogurt smoothie. Groovy Spoon Frozen Yogurt and More, right here in Marion on Mount Vernon Avenue. Hey, Scott Spears along with you on a Monday edition of The Exchange, joined by Charlie Evers, Marianne Michaels, and a Groovy Spoon employee, because if you can't tell already, we're at the Groovy Spoon here. These shows are being taped from the Groovy Spoon. We're doing this for 3 weeks. We did it last week. We're going to do it this week, and we'll be here again next week, which will be the 16th, 5 to 8 p.m. Come out to the Groovy Spoon right next to Big Lots here in Marion. Groovy Spoon Frozen Yogurt and More. And when they say and more, they mean it. By the way, 14 flavors of frozen yogurt. But look at this right here on the table. Look at this crepe, this blueberry crepe. The most delicious, best presentation in Marion dessert as far as I'm concerned. If somebody wants to challenge me, feel free, but it looks absolutely great. Does it not, Charlie?
Sure does.
You polished off one of those crepes last week?
Oh, yes. Boy, was it delicious. And you wouldn't eat any of it.
Well, you took care of the plate.
Well, that was the purpose, yeah.
Yeah, that was what it was all about. Charlie, open us up this Monday with fascinating facts.
Yeah, one thing that being advertised now, some of the new electric cars that will go all the, what do they get, like 80 miles on a charge? Can you imagine a car that will run 80 miles on a battery? Unless you have to work in Columbus and you won't get home. You have to park in Waldo and plug your car in.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense, really. Now, if you had a hybrid, where you could run the engine for a while and recharge the battery, but it's kind of a strange situation we're in with these chargeable cars. And that's about as goofy a thing I can think of this week.
Well, that's a pretty good way to open it up. And I do want to mention, we have a special guest who I'm not going to tell you about, but he will be along tomorrow. So you got to tune in tomorrow, and he'll be along with us for the remainder of the week. That's going to be a lot of fun. You won't want to miss that. As we transition on over to Mary Ann Michaels for Words of Wisdom.
Well, the theme is defeat, loneliness, and depression.
I'm
Robert-
sad already.
That was depressing just to hear the title, Mary
Well,
Ann.
this is supposed to uplift you from depression and loneliness. Robert Lind is an Irish essayist, and this is what he says. It is almost impossible to remember how tragic a place the world is when you're playing golf.
I
that
would
what
agree
you
with that.
agree with
yes.
that?
I was thinking the other day I told about President Harding. He played golf as often as he could at Chevy Chase in Washington, in that area. And golf was his thing. I mean, government was second.
Well, I think Gerald Ford would say that.
Oh, yeah.
He was a great golfer.
What is it with golfers?
Well,
Well,
you're
they're
so,
rich
well,
for
you're
one
so
thing.
concentrated on
Yeah.
it. It is a frustrating sport as
Yes,
far as
and
I'm
expensive.
concerned. I took lessons and I said, no way do I want to spend all of this time being worried about a ball reaching a certain area, and then you have to chase after it, and half of the time I
chasing
lost.
after it, yeah.
and I
That's-
lose the balls, and
Yeah.
it's not a sport for me.
Now,
Nothing
yeah,
like losing your balls, Charlie.
if you had colored ones, why
Whoa!
you could play golf in the wintertime on snow. You ever-
Ooh, the
I wonder if
double
they ever thought-
entendres are
Well,
just
I
flying
think there
around.
are some people that do that.
I would think
I
so,
think there-
yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think so.
You know what's so frustrating about golf that I've noticed is you're always playing against yourself. I think that's
You
difficult.
are.
But you can go out and play with other people who's got the best score at the end, but essentially you're playing against your last best round.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be frustrating.
Is that where the phrase being teed off comes from?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it had
because
to do with the Tea Party.
Oh, no, it's
No, that long before that.
T-E-E-D, not
Yeah.
T-E-A-D.
T-E-E''E''.
No, I
You
don't.
sure?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
think it's T-E-E-D.
You know what, Mary Ann? I'm still shocked last week that you said Benjamin Franklin carried a purse. I haven't got over that one yet. I still think your facts might be a little faulty.
Where else would you carry a key?
In your satchel.
Satchel.
Men carry a satchel.
Oh, really?
Women.
Well, as far as
Would you carry a purse?
As far as Benjamin Franklin was concerned, he called it a purse. And you know something? I have total respect for Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, I
I
have
guess
total
so,
respect
yeah.
for Benjamin
Yeah.
Franklin.
If
He's
he-
buried in downtown Philadelphia.
Yes.
And if he said purse, then that's what it was called in his time.
But quotes are funny, though, aren't they, Mary Ann? Because you don't really know if that person said it because you weren't there. And somebody else had to overhear them. Who writes down their own quotes?
Well,
Says,
that's
oh,
true.
that's really good.
No, I never thought
Okay,
of that.
now when you get right around to it now, 2,000 or less years ago, who wrote the Bible on what? I mean, we know who wrote it, but what did they write on? Was it papyrus or stone tablets?
I think it
What
was
they
stone
write
tablets.
with?
It was stone tablets.
Can you imagine how?
How many pages is the Bible?
Oh, wow.
Depends on which version.
That was all chiseled on a tablet?
There's the Quickie Bible, and there's in the Standard Edition, and then there's the Revised Standard. And then there's King James. You know, he wanted
Right.
The
to
Old and the
suit
New
himself.
Testament,
Yeah.
which I
And,
think's
a
interesting.
lot of times, speaking of the Bible, a lot of times, when I grew up, I learned a lot of Bible verses, and now they're changed a little bit because I think, they sound better. They sound more common nomenclature. But I really like the old way of saying it.
I like the Latin too in the
I do.
Catholic Church.
Yes,
It never changes. Latin is
Latin.
today, tomorrow, and forever.
Well, that's something about the Catholic Church. They stay ground in their traditions.
That's right.
I think more than any other group denomination does.
But there have been changes periodically.
Not a whole lot.
Not, extreme changes, but some changes.
Biggest change locally, of course, after they went to English was modernizing the altar, and then years later they realized this isn't right. Let's go back to what
Yes,
we remember as a carved, ornate.
yes.
There's something to tradition.
Oh, there is. yeah.
I like tradition.
And as we move along on this Monday, we, like I said before, are joined by an employee here at the Groovy Spoon in Merriam. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie. Katie, so glad to have you here. Working at Groovy Spoon, I've asked the last two people this. What's it like? Is it fun? Seems fun.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. We get a lot of contact with the customers, which is nice, like a more personal level, since there's usually only a couple of us working. It's not like a sit in the office kind of thing, like your nose in a computer. Like, it's more interactive, and it's a fun atmosphere.
And she recommended my
Pomegranate.
pomegranate. Yes, and it is delicious.
Yeah. It's a pretty popular
It
one.
is.
What is the most popular flavor, in your opinion, that you've had here? You've been open since April at this location. What's the most popular flavor that you've seen?
The pomegranate raspberry is definitely a pretty popular one. And then for kids, it's usually the cookies and cream. They love that one.
Now, when did you start working here?
I started when we opened.
Oh, right. Okay, when it opened. What changes have you seen in the past? I guess it's been 6-7 months now. More people coming in?
Yeah, we're starting to get a more heavy customer flow. Like, a lot more people have known about us now that we've been here for 6 or 7 months. So we're starting to get like a couple people who still come in where it's like they've never been here before, but that's okay too, because they spread the word and stuff, because a lot of people seem to like it.
I think a lot of people come here after their dinner at another restaurant. They come here for dessert.
How about MTC and OSUM students?
Well, I don't work in the morning, so like when classes are, I'm usually in at night and stuff, because I'm still in high school too. So,
Oh, okay.
But what I've heard from friends and stuff who work here too, they say that it seems like some college kids come in too after classes and stuff for like a little refreshment.
Yeah. Do you have Wi-Fi?
Yes, we do.
No kidding. Well, hey, all right.
Yeah, this is the place to be. They have
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. This crepe here that I talked about at the beginning of the episode looks so good, presentation so good. Now, what is the cost of something like that?
It's $2.45.
$2.45. Listen, I paid attention this last week. I was in a few restaurants. You're not going to get that in another restaurant for $2.45.
No.
If you eat the meal and you get a dessert, $2.45 isn't happening. I've seen some other places, $2.45 for a cookie. So this is really a sharp deal. Are the crepes popular, and the waffles, which we had on the table last week?
Yeah, we sold 2 today to a couple ladies that came in and like they raved about it. Like, they love the waffles that we have, and we make them all fresh, and the batter is made daily, so everything we make is fresh.
Well, as we're in the fall and heading into the winter, I imagine the crepes and the waffles would be big sellers, the warm
Yeah,
treats.
because they're warm and they're really good too. Like,
And the blueberries are so healthy.
yeah.
And
All
the
fresh fruit
the
stuff, too.
presentation is, it's really artistic.
Yeah, we make it fun, like, because when we do the syrups and stuff, we just like drizzle them on top and stuff, and it makes a cool little pattern. So
Looks almost like it's ceramic from here.
Yes, it doesn't look real. It really
It is,
doesn't,
but it
because it's
tastes
so
good.
pretty.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Charlie can vouch for
Yeah,
the
I
taste.
sure
It's not
can,
just,
yeah.
it's not just a showpiece. Well, I thank you so much for being on today. Stick with us for the rest of the show. We're going to talk about a few current events here. And as I said again, we're going to be at the Groovy Spoon at least one more week on November the 16th, 5 to 8 p.m. You won't want to miss it. Come out. Say hello during a taping. Do want to mention the
We
election.
don't really tape anymore.
We don't?
This is solid state. Oh, no, it is tape, isn't
No,
it?
I tape.
That's right. I was thinking it was the solid state stuff.
Now, what is the solid state stuff? I'm unaware of that.
Well, that's no tape. It's just put on a chip.
Oh,
Yeah. No, we're on tape. We go to
Okay.
tape. I know, that's the budget.
Yeah.
We're on tape. But want to mention that we talked about it a lot on this show. We now have the verdict here in Ohio on issue 2, and it went down, meaning that collective bargaining and I guess the ability to strike is still legal in the state, and collective bargaining will go on for firefighters, police officers, and teachers. Almost by a 2-to-1 margin that went down, Charlie. What's that say?
Well, it says a lot. I interviewed the fire chief of Marion last Saturday, and I was so flabbergasted almost in the training that a fireman has
Oh,
to have.
my, yes.
I mean, he could be operating controls on the pumper truck at one time and giving life-saving medicine at another time. And it's just amazing. And these guys need all they can, all that we can afford to give them, that's for sure.
Marianne, I know you were very happy about
Yes,
this.
very happy. First of all, I was happy for all of them, especially the teachers. Having been a teacher myself, I was very pleased about that. And the policemen, you know, what would we do if we had a decreased police force? I mean, I think crime would definitely go up. I mean, there's just not, I mean, it's so, I mean, it's elementary that they should have the right to be able to bargain. You know,
Well,
I realize that in the past, some unions have really gone overboard with some of their requests, and that's true. But I think it hasn't been recently.
you know, it's a funny thing about this issue too, because I did not, because you be careful how you say this, I supported the idea that teachers, police officers, fire people should have collective bargaining and should have the right to strike, just because mainly, as I've said many times, I never understood how you could make striking illegal according to the First Amendment. But I don't think it was intended to lay off firefighters and police officers and teachers. I think what it was intended to do was be able to drop their salaries or not give them mandatory raises. Because when you go...
Yes, that's possible.
So, I mean, this thing did come... I mean, both sides had a lot of propaganda flying around. And the propaganda to put down issue 2 by the unions was that we can't afford to lose this. I'm not sure that we would have lost fire, police, and teachers. They just would not have been able to bargain for higher raises. It wouldn't have been all or nothing.
Well, but a lot of it has to do with class size, and you know, without that ability to meet with the administration, you know, some of the classes would be way over populated. And you cannot teach when you have 35, 40 kids in your classroom. It's impossible.
Well,
so there are other things besides salaries. I mean, there are working conditions to consider, safety conditions to consider.
I'm glad you bring this up. Now, here's the problem, though, especially if you look at a town just to the north of us like Detroit, Michigan, or you look at a lot of places in Ohio for that matter. Unions were taken care of in most factories because the company just had the right to leave the country or fire them all, get new people. This is different. The teachers, the firefighters, the police officers are bargaining with the state. The state just can't come in and fire every teacher, firefighter, and police officer. I think the state was trying to gain some traction in what they could do. Because, you know, as much as to be perfectly honest, I don't think teachers should be lumped in with fire people and police officers. Because a teacher is not putting their life on the line any more than a factory worker is by going to work. So I think grouping this all together was a little bit of I didn't like it. Because I think people mostly were not coming out against the fire people and the police officers. I think it was more against the teachers than it was
I have no idea.
Charlie, I mean, do you think it's weird to group teachers with firefighters and police officers?
Well, they all come under a governmental...
Collective bargaining.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, but where are the majority of people who work in factories fall in this?
Well, they're working under private ownership. You know,
That's right.
private meaning
it's what
non-governmental
it was, Scott,
ownership.
was government workers.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That was the reason for it.
Now, what would happen, like I say, take fire and police out of it, because those are always going to be government employees. What if, and this is not a far cry, because frankly, I think this is more logical than what they've done with the prisons by privatizing them. What if they privatized schools and made those teachers bargain with a person who could shut down that school, much like these privatized prisons can do now? Would the teacher... See, because, listen, I'll lay all the cards on the table. I went to college for education. I have a degree in education. That's where I come from. But I never thought I was in the same boat as a police officer or a firefighter.
You ever try to put out a fire?
Exactly.
Or,
no.
or bring somebody back to life dying?
Well, you obviously aren't in the same. I mean,
Right.
that's moot.
But in this one, they were. on this issue, they were the same.
Yeah, but they weren't considered the same professions. They
The-
were 3 different professions.
I tell you though, I
That's
bet you
right.
this, Mary Ann, that's right, it should have been voted on separately, and I would almost guarantee that if the teachers went up by themselves, they would have lost.
Oh, I think not.
You really do?
I really do, because I
Do-
think most people believe that education is the core
Oh, it certainly is.
of everything.
But, okay, that's fine. But when you're in Marion City, and this is where we tape, when you're in Marion City, and I believe it was either last year or 2 years ago, when Marion City, it was last year, I do remember, it was last year, Marion City schools were negotiating, as they were with their collective bargaining rights, to get a certain pay raise. And the superintendent and his people, whoever he's advised by, were saying, listen, we haven't passed a bond. We haven't passed a levy. We can't do what you're asking for. We can't meet those demands. And what did the teachers do? The teachers, I don't know how many weeks it went on, but they acted to their contract. They sat in the car in the morning until the bell rang. They didn't go in and help a kid if they needed help with their homework before school. They all packed it together in Marion City and said, we're going to operate to our contract until the back is broken of the office and we get our raise. And they did. Now, is that putting the kid first, the student, or is that putting your pocketbook first?
Well,
He's making a point.
it's making, yeah, it is.
Yeah, but you can't. What if the firefighters said, we're not going to come to your house?
No,
That's
they
right.
they don't know police nor
Exactly,
fire.
Charlie, exactly.
Yeah.
So why are they in the same boat?
Well,
Well, but the teachers taught all day long. They did their job.
Right, but
It's
it's
just they didn't do the extras, which they do all the time.
Yeah, but I think they did them anyway. They were, you know it, Mary Ann, being a teacher, you're expected to help kids with your homework. You're expected if a child has a question and can't get to you during the day to answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
but when it came to money, not time, not energy, when it came to money, then we'll operate to the contract.
Well, I wasn't aware of this.
That
You're-
happened.
You're giving me information I was not aware of.
Around holiday time, last October, November, that happened.
I wasn't aware of it. Maybe because I wasn't reading the
yes, I had
Marys.
heard that was the case, but it didn't, I don't know if it ruffled any feathers or not.
What got
It
the
made
raise?
a point.
Ruffled
It made a point.
It got the raise. To me, here's all I'm
Well,
saying.
first of
it
all,
was a
teachers
raise.
are
How does-
paid, they're not paid enough. I'll tell you, they really
No, I
aren't.
would agree with that, but I think a lot of people aren't paid enough. A lot of people who do a lot of jobs. But the final point in that is, I'm not even talking, because like I said, I'm with you on issue 2. I'm glad it went down, I agree. But I think the teachers set a bad precedent in the students' eyes, the 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old's eyes, when the teacher is sitting in the parking lot in their car.
Well,
and
we have a student with us. Ask her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No, to be honest, I had.
Now, are you a Marion City school?
Yes, I go to Harvard.
Okay, okay. Now,
I wasn't aware of it
I
either.
had no idea that.
what happened about a year ago? But what I say is those kids who didn't need help, do you normally go in early for help or stay late for help?
Sometimes depends on the subject or whatever. If I'm struggling in a class or anything like that.
Have you ever had any trouble getting help when you ask for it?
No.
Well, that's good. But it did happen last year for a month. You can consult the papers and everything else. Fact is fact. Let's go into the mailbag. We haven't done that for a while.
Boy, is this good.
Just keep eating up there. How much time do we have left, by the way? We're at 1. We can do a quick mailbag. How can I get used to wearing contacts? Obviously, I don't wear them. That's from Andy in Delaware. Does anybody here wear contacts?
I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
Well, here we go. What's the answer? How do you get used to it, Mary Ann?
It wasn't a problem at all. You just are very careful with it, and your ophthalmologist will show you how to do it, and you have to keep them very, very clean, right?
Yes.
Because you don't want an eye infection. But I've been wearing them a lot longer than you, and I haven't had any trouble with them. Every once in a while, you know, they'll tear, and of course then you have to get rid of it because it really hurts your eye.
Yeah,
But-
that's not fun either.
No, but I haven't had any problems with my, and I've been, at least 15 years wearing them.
Any problems with you, Katie?
At first, I had a few, like, my contacts weren't getting enough oxygen in my eyes. So I had a couple eye infections, and those are not fun at all.
No.
And I hated wearing my glasses, so every time I had to get up in the morning, and I was like, no.
Well, did you put the liquid in
The
rinse
solution and stuff,
them?
yeah.
Rinse them
But
very
it's like
well?
once you get an eye infection with contacts, you have to throw that pair away.
Oh,
'cause it's, like,
definitely.
it like stays in them and stuff. But I was scared about getting like touching my eye and stuff, but I have no problem with it now because like they show you how to do it and everything. So
So just give it time and practice.
I just love them because, I guess that's vanity, isn't it?
yeah,
But
I love them too. I
but
love
I
mine.
never like to wear glasses.
Charlie, we're the dorks in the group.
Yeah, what I like now, they've come back with this, I don't know what brand it is, but they give you a little plastic cup. You fill it up with fluid and then sock it on your eye and move your eye all around and wash it out.
That's
Now, they used to
wonderful.
have that years ago. In fact, they used to have those little cups on top of the bottle. And
I don't have that, do you?
they really felt
never
good.
had one.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, Andy in Delaware, the answer is just keep practicing,
Yes.
and you'll eventually get better.
Eventually, it'll just be a matter of,
Habit.
Habit.
If you have a
Yep.
question for the mailbag, scottspears3@gmail.com or jump on Facebook, The Exchange Marion. See you tomorrow.